Doug Ford has already made a number of changes since being sworn in as Premier of Ontario. Now, before I get into what I want to focus on in this video, let me try and just give you a quick overview on some of the things he's done so far that I think are largely negative. So, he has ended the cooperation with Ottawa on resettlement of asylum seekers. He has halted an expanded mandate into police oversight. He has, of course, canceled the cap and trade. He has fired Ontario's chief scientist. He stopped a price cap on resale tickets. And he delayed changes to the Smoke Free Ontario Act. Now, the one here that I think is debatable is the delayed changes to the Smoke Free Ontario Act. So those changes dealt more with vaping and treating vaping the same way that cigarettes are treated, which I don't think really makes sense. I mean, the science doesn't show that. So the science shows that, yes, there is potential harm to secondhand vaping, but nowhere near the harm that cigarettes do. So to treat them the same, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. But while that one's debatable, I think the rest of them are just completely ridiculous. But this next one takes the cake. Doug Ford has canceled the $100 million school repair fund. Now, let me go a little deeper into this one from an article from the very liberal Toronto Sun. The province has an approximate $15 billion repair backlog at its 4,900 publicly funded schools. Stephen Seaborn, spokesman for the education advocacy group Campaign for Public Education, said the cut will hurt schools across Ontario. It's bad, he said. It was done just like as if it was nothing. There was no discussion about what would be done about the budgets of the schools. Seaborn said the cancellation of cap and trade has clearly had unintended consequences, and cutting funds for the renovation program is a prime example. My message for the Premier is watch what you do, he said. It has huge implications for 2 million school kids across the province. Now, if you are a PC voter, is this what you voted for? Is this what you wanted out of Doug Ford? Cuts to school education? Cuts to repairs to these schools across the province? Is that really going to help Ontario? Now, this is worth repeating. Doug Ford has a PC majority government. Yet, if you compare, or if you combine the votes of the Green Party, the NDP, and the Liberals, more people voted for those three parties that lay more on the progressive side of the spectrum than people voted for Doug Ford's PCs. So even though PCs currently have a majority, the Conservatives have a majority government, more people voted for other parties. This is the broken first past the post system that we have. We need to move to a proportional representation system so that we actually have governments that represent us. Wouldn't that be crazy? Now, let me focus a little more in on one of the ridings that are being hit by this cut. So here we go. Cancelled school repair fund hits Lambton, Kent. For the Lambton, Kent District School Board, the funding cut will only prolong the process of repairs and projects needed for the board's aging facilities, said the board's superintendent for business, Brian McKay. The Lambton Kent Board, according to McKay, received an annual $1.6 million allocation for repairs through the fund. We will have to delay some of the work because of that loss. It's just going to take longer, and it won't help us clear the backlog any quicker. In fact, it will slow it down, McKay said Tuesday. The average age of facilities within the Lambton Kent Board's scope of operations is 48.5, with 51 elementary schools averaging at 46 years old and 12 secondary schools averaging at 51. Capital repair costs for the next 5 years are said to be worth more than $310 million. Now, this is just one example. One riding that has aging school facilities that clearly need repairs, but it's an example of many ridings. As I said earlier, there is a $15 billion repair backlog for schools across Ontario. So this cut from Doug Ford is really going to hurt. $100 million was already not enough. Yet Doug Ford couldn't even keep that. Now, let me let's look at who Lambton Kent voted for. And I think that question just answered itself. So, let's take a look. Here's the election results of Lambton Kent, Middlesex, where they voted for PC candidate Monte McNaughton over the NDP candidate who came in second, Todd Case. Of course. This is what you got. So if you live in Lambton, Kent, and you voted PC, and you have schools there that need repairs, well, you voted against your best interests. Congrats. Now, you might say to me, but David, the NDP didn't have a plan to repair schools. No, so what are you talking about? There was no better option, David. Maybe we should look at their platform. So, right off the NDP Ontario website, here is their plan for public schools. Fixing our public schools. Too many kids are going to school in buildings without proper heat or cooling, with leaky roofs or stairways overdue for repair. After years of conservative and liberal governments neglecting schools, the backlog of needed repairs has reached $15 billion. Our 10-year capital plan will invest $16 billion and will specifically address the repair backlog in Ontario's schools, and will fix the rules around education development charges, payments developers make when they build new homes or condos, so they can be used to fund new schools. So, there you go. The NDP had a plan. They were going to put more into this education repair fund, actually fix the backlog of schools that need repairs. But Doug Ford, with the measly $100 million that was allocated to that, even cut that. So, did you vote for this idiot? And if I seem tired and annoyed, it's because I am. Before the election, I warned all of you. This is what Doug Ford is going to do. He's going to make these cuts. And this is exactly what's going to happen. And it's happening. So, he ran on no platform, ran on bullshit about him being for the little guy when he is a man who was born into wealth, has had every advantage at every stop in his life. His father was an MPP. His brother was the mayor of Toronto. He inherited a business from his dad. He's had every benefit. Yet he somehow was for the little guy? No. Doug Ford doesn't give a fuck about you. And cuts like this prove it.